check, guys. Mic check. I'm counting down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great.
Thank you all for being here today, this afternoon. My name is Major Dustin Coson, C-O-S-S-O-N, with the Walton County Sheriff's Office, and I'm joined up here with Lieutenant Lee and Chief Hayes with the Niceville Police Department. Today we are coming together to notify everyone of a case that's been here in Niceville Police Department for a while, and the Walton County Sheriff's Office has been involved in this for some time as well. We want to make sure that the public knows, but also the family of the individual we're about to talk about, Jacob Lyon. Jacob Lyon has been positively identified and recovered home for his family. Chief Hayes is going to talk to everybody about the investigation leading up to early October of 2022, and then I'll speak on kind of what happened after October 2022. And I said if there are any questions, wait till the end. We'll give an opportunity for any media or any questions from the public to ask each of us questions. Chief Hayes?
Thank you. My name is Mark Hayes, H-A-Y-S-E. Chief of Police for Niceville. On stage with me again is Lieutenant John Lee, the originating investigator and long-time dedicated worker for this case. I'm going to read to you the following synopsis of events pertaining to the missing persons case of Jacob Lyon and the involvement of the Niceville Police Department in the investigation. On February 1st, 2016, the Niceville Police Department initiated a missing persons case for a 19-year-old male, Jacob Lyon. He was reported missing by his mother, Judith, who had not seen him for approximately 3 months. On the same date of the report that Jacob was reported missing, he was entered into FCIC, NCIC as a missing/endangered person. The following day, on February 2nd, 2016, the MPD investigators conducted 7 different interviews with family or friends, as well as a forensic analysis of was performed on his cell phone. Several future searches were conducted based on the recovered phone data. A short time later, DNA samples were collected from the family members for the future comparison and identification purposes. The MPD, along with other law enforcement partners, continued the investigation, conducted many searches throughout Florida and surrounding states. Some of these searches involved cadaver dogs and the use of ground-penetrating radar. But unfortunately, none of the more than 20 tips, ranging from locations of a body to live sightings, proved to be useful. We at the MPD did not give up hope and continued following up on tips for Jacob as recently as a few months ago in North Walton County. On January 21st, 2026, the Walton County Sheriff's Office notified us that they had received a positive DNA match for Jacob Lyons from the remains found in South Walton County in 2022. All our information pertaining to this investigation was then turned over to the WCSO. On behalf of the Niceville Police Department, the City of Niceville, I would like to extend my sincere condolences to the family of Jacob and know that we feel terrible for your loss of your son and family member. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Major Coson.
So I'm going to back up just a little bit, but October 2022, we received a call in the area of Leeward Drive related to possible bones, later obviously identified as human remains. From 2022, let me back up just a second. That area there where Jacob was found was a very populated area, but it was a small wooded lot that links up to a community, to a subdivision. With the assistance of the District 1 Medical Examiner's Office, we recovered a lot of evidence. And I use the term evidence because at that time we didn't necessarily know exactly what we had. We obviously knew that we had some human remains, but there were a few other things that were located during that time that now for us become evidence to assist Niceville and ourselves with that investigation. From 2022 to 2023, we were able to work again with the District Medical Examiner's Office to get their initial report and findings of age range of what the individual, what the remains, and what Jacob ultimately could be. An age range from 13 to 20. Again, not enough evidence to make a positive identification at that time. So from then, once their report concluded in 2024, we sent the information and the evidence that we had to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, at which time they, roughly a year turnaround time to get that DNA sample. That DNA sample was compared to the original sample that Lieutenant Lee, then Detective Lee, gathered from Jacob's family, and we were able to make that positive confirmation and identification of Jacob from that. Obviously, there's some time distance there, but know with that time distance, everything happens for a reason, and I think it's without a doubt that getting that positive answers for the family, that's what we're here to do now. This is not, by all means, the end of an investigation, but it's the furtherance and the start of another investigation. So we have the death investigation now that's ongoing to really make sure that we get some more answers. There's no question, and I mentioned this to Jacob's mother earlier, no question that this is not a positive thing, but there is some positive to it because now we have something that we can utilize from evidence to identify possibly what happened with Jacob. We don't know, right? Don't know right now exactly what happened, but what we do know is that we have a positive confirmation of Jacob Lyon, and that we'll be continuing the investigation in partnership with the Niceville Police Department. It's important for everybody in here and for the public to know that although there's been 20 plus interviews, multiple tips over the years, no telling how many times, again, Detective Lee at the time came to Walton County, multiple areas searched in Walton County and in Niceville. But we ask the public, if you know anything, please contact us. You can contact the Walton County Sheriff's Office or you can contact the Niceville Police Department. No matter what, we're joined at the hip in this investigation. We're looking at 10 years, right? 10 years is a long time, but Jacob is home. Jacob's back with his family, and the family is able to make a little bit of closure, and it's our hope that we can continue to get answers. Again, we may not have all the answers. I'll say this again to the family, we may not have all the answers, but it's our jobs and our duties to make sure that we are doing the things that we need to do to get every answer that we can. So if there are any questions, please, you can direct them to me or Chief Hayes or Detective Lee, or Lieutenant Lee, excuse me.
I'll go first. What do you, in cases like this where somebody's gone missing for this long, are there typical outcomes or typical things you're looking at first to determine what exactly happened?
Well, of course, the first thing is obviously the evidence that's recovered from a scene, right? If you look at the scene where Jacob was recovered in 2022, it looks completely different than it does today. It was behind a hotel, sleep-in. Sleep-in's not even there anymore, okay? So what we have to do is go back and look through the multiple pages of report from Niceville Police Department and see if there's any commonalities maybe to that area or just names of individuals that we've encountered in the past. Just like Chief Hayes said, we've had some tips along the way as well as people. Those obviously are communicated back and forth between us and Niceville Police Department, but we kind of really have a new starting point, if you will, of going, but we will work backwards to move forwards.
You go ruled out criminality?
Don't know. There are a lot of things, again, that we have no answers to. But what we also have to look at is the evidence that we have, not just off of Jacob's remains, but some things that we found around them. And as the investigation continues, as far as the death investigation, we'll be able to put those pieces of the puzzle together.
A question for the investigator I would like to ask. In 10 years since this thing started, right, this investigation started a decade ago, what's it been like for you to have a little bit of closure after an event like this that's taken up a good chunk of your career?
My number one priority was to try and find closure for his mother, Judy, who's been working with me fairly close this entire time.
Okay. Any other questions?
Could we go back a little time gap between 2023 when the FDLE gave a positive DNA sample and to when we came to January 21st of this year?
So the results from the medical examiner's office. So anytime an individual dies, the medical examiner's office has jurisdiction over the body. Jacob's remains went to the medical examiner's office, and then during the point that his remains are there, they have to make sure that their entire report is completed, mainly for chain of custody. So we have a paper report, but we also have additional reports that are supplemental to that paper report. So from 2022, I believe that was October of 2022, through, I believe, November of 2023, that's essentially their investigation. Then when we get the remains, the evidence from their investigation to the Walton County Sheriff's Office in 2024, there's another year there from 2024 to 2025 when FDLE is processing DNA. Now, I'm not a DNA expert, but I do know that DNA is very unique from a standpoint of you can swab one area and you may get a hit off DNA, and you can swab the exact same area and you may not get a hit off DNA. There are so many things, and again, when you start talking about timeline, 2016 to 2022, it's sort of 8 years. When we start talking about pieces of evidence, small pieces of fabric, not a high expectation that there'd be any kind of evidence with that. The piece of fabric is evidence, but there may not be DNA with that. So it's really sometimes a shot in the dark. Sometimes DNA gets cycled back through a system. It's not a one shot and you're done. So there's a multitude of investigative techniques and investigative situations that FDLE, the medical examiner's office, and obviously law enforcement use to capture some things. Again, sometimes it's by happenstance. Answer your question.
I think the one thing I probably should have asked is, just based on your interviews with the family, what was Jacob like? What kind of man is he?
Jacob ran with a tough crowd. He was having a hard time. He was trying to find himself. But I've never met Jacob myself, so I can only go off of what people tell me.
Speaking with his family, have you been able to speak with them about it, about the situation, the finding of the remains?
Vaguely, yes. I did speak with Miss Judy and her husband.
Have they said anything about the closure of the situation to you about this?
They're more concerned with, they are happy that we did find Jacob, but they're more concerned with, pressing, where do we go from here? Everybody wants answers.
And with those next steps, can you describe what the death investigation would look like, especially years after it happened, on finding that evidence?
So again, with any death investigation, we always start at the point of something that we know. In this, we now know that Jacob's been recovered. The remains that we found in Walton County are Jacob. And so what we have to do is make sure that we're not missing something from Niceville. And I don't mean that we're missing something. We have to go back and make sure that we know everything that Niceville has, because they've ultimately been conducting that investigation from the start. Yes, there are a few times where there's a partnership there, and there's no question that that's happening and already happened. And so making sure that we're all on the same page and we know everything that they know and they know everything that we know is really important, because, again, we're looking at 10 years worth of an investigation. And so making sure that something's not dropped, not missing. So we'll go back through those reports, re-interview individuals that have already been interviewed to make sure that something may have changed. Of course, when you get a tip, Chief Hayes spoke about some tips of, live tips, so to speak. That could have been a belief that they saw somebody because they saw a picture, because they saw a flyer. And so what we want to do is go back through and make sure that we really kind of catalog every little bit of information that we have, because there could be a little bit of factual information in a small portion of what was said 10 years ago. But ultimately, we don't know, right? There are a lot of unknowns, but ultimately, like I said earlier, it's our jobs and our duties to make sure that we get some answers. We may not ever get all the answers. That is an unfortunate part of this job, an unfortunate part of being a family member of somebody that has been gone for 10 years, and now we have that closure. And so we ask, obviously, for any help. Please call us, please contact us, or Niceville Police Department, or Walton County Sheriff's Office, and if you have any bit of information, and know that we will be back out, again, conducting an investigation like this just happened yesterday. But know that we may not have all the answers, but we're going to do everything that we can to get them. Say it again, I'm sorry.
Has there been any more information about the inmate that claims to have Jacob?
I'm not sure specifically what you're talking about, but I know that our reports, as well as Niceville reports, have multiple I guess, accounts of individuals that have either seen him, had some sort of encounter with him in the past, or during the time of his disappearance, saw him last, those kind of things. And that's kind of part of our getting back together and getting on the same page of, hey, what has been done, what do we need to do now, and maybe is something could we go back and revisit that's already been addressed.
How far were the remains found away from the hospital?
I'm not sure which hospital he was released from in 2015, but I can tell you, if you're familiar with where the Waterburger is in Miramar Beach in Walton County, just almost directly behind there, so in Walton County. If he was released from Port Walton Beach, then it'd obviously be travel distance from there, or if it was Sacred Heart, then it would be travel distance from there. Any other questions? Okay. Again, thank you all for being here. We'll be available offline if there are any additional questions. Thank you. Is that it?